Oh, we got 3 minutes.
All right. We'll just give it another minute here, just so that everyone can pop in. All righty, you guys ready to get the show on the road?
We are.
Perfect. All righty, welcome everyone. I wanted to thank you all for joining us today. My name is Emma Mailman. I'm the marketing coordinator here at Mass MEP, and I'll be your moderator for this event today. Today we have for you our Frontline Supervisor Training Info Session with a few guests I would like to introduce. With us from Mass MEP, we have Ron Giard, our Business Development Advisor. He will be our point of contact for this event. So following, if you do have any questions, he's going to be the person that you want to reach out to, and we will be sharing his contact information following the presentation. Also with us in the background, we have Karen Myhaver, our Frontline Supervisor Program Specialist, and Joe Seamow, our Project Manager here at Mass MEP. And with them are some of the students from our previous cohort. We have Pedro, Frank, and Rebecca, who will be providing some of their takeaways that they got going through this exact training. And last but not least, we have Mary Beth Campbell, HR Director from Swiss Turn, who will also be going through her experience as they sent 7 people through this exact training. Before we do begin, I just wanted to remind you all that we do have an hour set aside for this, as we feel that's plenty of time for the content and Q&A sessions. To be respectful of our panelists and your time, if we do begin to run over, we will end as scheduled, but we'll address all of your questions through the email addresses you provided and through our point of contact, Ron Giard. This is being recorded and will be available both on our Facebook and YouTube pages after this webinar concludes. So if you do feel that someone would benefit from this information, but maybe wasn't able to attend, please direct them to either of those platforms. Without further ado, enjoy the Frontline Supervisor Info Session. And Ron, the show is yours.
Thank you, Emma. Again, I'm Ron Giard, Business Development Advisor with Mass MEP, and our goal today is to provide information on the Frontline Supervisor program, give you an opportunity to ask questions, and hopefully get a better understanding of what the whole program looks like. So with that, I will give you a little bit of background on Mass MEP. If you're not familiar with us, Mass MEP stands for Massachusetts Manufacturing Extension Partnership. We are a nonprofit organization, and really our mission is to support manufacturing in Massachusetts. And we do that through advisory and training support, as well as being connected with a lot of other organizations within Massachusetts, as well as within the United States, to assist manufacturing companies to grow through upskilling their people, as well as other services. We are funded through NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology. In our case, we are also funded through the state of Massachusetts to assist companies with a lot of support at no cost and identify the needs that would best service their organizations. We have 3 main buckets of areas where we assist with. The first is operational excellence, and that is more around the lean foundational types of trainings. So a lot of our staff have years of experience in various industries and in different areas of businesses where we can assist with the training needs, again, more from a lean foundational process improvement, continuous improvement. The second bucket is around workforce strategies, which, as I'm sure you are all experiencing nowadays, is a big challenge, is finding and retaining employees. So we're continually developing programs, working with other organizations within Massachusetts, working with academia to identify programs that would assist in, again, upskilling your workforce to meet the changing needs of a manufacturing environment. And last is our Innovative Growth Solutions Group. So in this area of the business, we're constantly looking at what is the next thing out there that's in manufacturing that's going to assist companies. So the big area today is known as Industry 4.0, and that's a big bucket. It includes robotics, automation, cybersecurity, marketing, and sales. There's a lot of different areas where we have third-party providers that can assist with a lot of the training and advisory support. And so this kind of makes up and gives you an idea of the areas we can assist with. And again, I want to emphasize, when you're working with Mass MEP, we are associated with other organizations within Massachusetts, such as Mass Tech Collaborative, Mass Development, Mass Econ, academia, a lot of these innovative institutes. And then outside of Massachusetts, we're associated with all of the other MEP centers, because there is an MEP center in every state in the United States, including Puerto Rico. And we're connected with and funded through NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, that also has groups that can assist from a technology standpoint at low to no cost. So I would encourage companies to learn more about Mass MEP, as well as these other organizations, and how best we can assist you. Establishing the need for training. So one of the biggest challenges I've had in my career, and I've been in manufacturing over 35 years, and really it was what drove this program that we put together was, in a lot of cases, you have a machine operator, a very good machine operator, and the next step for him or her is to become a supervisor. And a lot of those changes are made, and unfortunately, they don't come equipped with the skill set to function as an operator, as a supervisor, as they go from a coworker to now somebody that's managing those same people they work beside. And so we put together this program to hopefully address some of those needs. And we hear constantly that's one of the biggest challenges that a lot of companies are faced with. So it's a kind of a funny picture here, but you go from being an ordinary guy to being that ordinary guy or gal who's been here for a while. And so it's kind of that natural progression. So we really want to, with this program, assist companies to give that skill set to those individuals. So one of the challenges that we hear and we see, I've experienced firsthand, is that operator becomes that supervisor or lead person, and when they don't have that support, that skill set, they become frustrated. So they become less than effective in their new role, and unfortunately lost a great operator. So the challenge is how to provide that skill set and that support. So this program is a year-long program, and it's done virtually over the 12-month period, and it meets 4 hours a week for 3 of the 4 weeks a month. So there's a lot of time to learn and practice and feedback to the group in the consortium that they're working with. So there's that support system as they learn these new techniques that they'll need. Basic needs, we kind of break the buckets of training into 2 areas, knowledge and skills. So the first area is the actual work itself. As you transition to a supervisor or a lead person or a manager, whatever the term you use, you're now in charge of an operation and people. So you got to understand the work that's being done and the responsibilities around it. So a lot of times things aren't spelled out on expectations as to what people need to know and do. So it's around that, what do you come equipped with having worked in that environment? So you have some knowledge of the work and responsibilities. The second aspect is now the skills. And this is a big emphasis that we have in the program, is how to improve the process, leading people, in training. So jumping back to leading people. So there's terminology out there, there's leads and managers, and it's really about understanding people, listening to people, and all environments are different. So being able to adapt to the environment you're in is a critical aspect of the training that we provide. So I think the shirt here kind of speaks for itself, right? A big challenge. And I kind of emphasize really what the intent of this program is to, over a period of time, and not kind of rush it to send somebody to a course for 8 hours or a week-long training and just overwhelm them with too much information, is to slowly and effectively transfer some of the knowledge and the skills that they'll need to be effective in their role. And they don't have to be this miracle worker that's going to solve all their problems, because it really does take a team. And more importantly, it takes the support of their managers to understand what they're going through and to support what they're learning in the process. So really high level, and Joe, my colleague, is going to go into more of the details of the training, but the training is broken into 3 modules. And the first module, which makes up 58 hours, is around leadership skills. What do you need to be aware of and have? And and it's not just knowing people, it's all of the regulations out there, safety, environmental, a lot of these things we touch on in the trainings. The second bucket is around manufacturing principles. So I said early on, a lot of Mass MEP historically has been around lean foundational type trainings as process improvement, and it's getting people to think differently on how they do their job every day. So that's kind of the second bucket. And then the third is around problem solving. Is historically, at least in my experience, a lot of times an operator or a worker on the floor would run into a problem. The first thing to do is they'd call a supervisor. You got to solve this for me. And so part of the challenges and the effectiveness of a good lead supervisor is being able to engage their people on the floor, and problem solving is working through these things and not relying on that hero to come over and solve those problems every day. So there's a lot here. There's a lot to learn. And in learning these things, you can become a very effective lead supervisor. But with that, I'm going to turn it over to Joe, and he's going to kind of walk you through some of the details of the training, as well as getting some feedback from some people that have been through the course. So with that, Joe, I'll turn it over to you.
All right, thank you, Ron. So talking about the nuts and bolts of the course. So we've talked about it's going to be 35 classes delivered over a long year's time span. So every class has a pre-class assignment. It's designed to engage the students and to get them into conversation. We use that to get them used to speaking in public. You know, it's easier if they're able to speak with some of their own colleagues than it is to just throw them out there and expect them to get in front of a group of people and just having a conversation. So we work them into it. So they have some assignments, some reading that they do, or watching a video, and everybody's expected to come in and prepare to have a conversation. Also, we have 3 classes a month, 4 hours a class, and it's all virtual. And we do this so that we're able to kind of give them a breather and let them kind of absorb some of the information that they've picked up throughout the class. We want them to absorb some of that information, but we also want them to try to put some of that into practice. So we want to give them a little bit of time to be able to do that. So a Mass MEP Frontline Supervisor program is an apprenticeship, and the students are asked and encouraged to reach out to their managers and keep them involved, you know, having a conversation, what's going on in the class, giving them an update, what are the types of things that they're learning, what types of things are they using from the class out on their shop floor or in their work area, and just keeping the managers involved and keeping them up to date. That's an important part of this whole class. Give me the next one, Ron. So we have some students that are joining us, students that have completed the year-long class. And we have with us Pedro Alicia from Colombia, Rebecca Capro from Amtech, and Frank Benjaminson from Mark Forge. And Emma, do you want to start with some questions for our students?
Absolutely. Frank, we will begin with you. I believe Rebecca is trying to log in right now, so you'll be the guinea pig to start us off with some of these questions. One of the ones that we got was, what did you get out of the course overall that makes Mark Forge want to offer this to others within your company?
One of the biggest things was, you know, like AimTech, for instance, is a company who had people in the same class that I took in the same cohort. So being able to like talk to a lot of other manufacturing companies, their employees, and get their input on things, really, it lets you to like kind of workshop a lot of what you're learning in the course, because like every company is at different places than you, they have different issues. So like you can kind of like talk about things in a real world sense, so you know how to like apply them with like other people's issues. Mark Forge is a very young company. We're going through a lot of like changes because of our growth, where some of the older companies have like different struggles that I wouldn't know how to like deal with. So being given all these different tools to use and like understanding how they're used that way, and also just almost having like a support group of other supervisors that are stressed out is like really really helpful. It really shows the value.
Perfect. Off of that, is there anything specific that you'd want to share as far as your biggest takeaway or the biggest impact for you specifically?
For us, at Mark Forge, and I'm sure a lot of other companies, you know, there's a lot of buzzwords going around, especially around like lean manufacturing and like all of that methodology and those principles. And having a class like the MEP class that really goes into like what all of that means, whether it's like, you know, all of the Japanese terms that are brought up in lean manufacturing and all these things that you hear on the manufacturing floor, and actually learning like not only like what they are, but like why they're so important, and like that they're like tried and true methods. It's gotten me to like, rather than just like almost ignoring some of these terms that I hear from like previous managers and stuff, I'm like able to like have the conversations with them and also bring things to the table that are they might be overlooking, because it really shows you to like treat like the operators on the floor, all the production staff, and like using their knowledge and like the value in that. So me being exactly what this slideshow showed is like an operator who went to a lead, who went to a supervisor, didn't have managerial experience. Like I had all of that knowledge, and it shows you how to like use that and as like fodder to like, you know, drive your points across.
Is there a method in specific that you find the most valuable that you've learned from this training?
Gemba walks are a really big thing. Actually going on the floor and seeing what's going on. That's one that I was familiar with before the class even started, but I can't stress enough how important it is, because no matter how in tune you think you are, you do get kind of numb to it. And like, unless you're actually there watching the operator do things and like taking the time to like, you know, talk to them, you'll totally miss like the simplest little things that could be like the hugest light bulb for continuous improvement.
Perfect. Yeah, it's just gaining that perspective, right? Putting yourself in their shoes. Yeah. Perfect. All righty. Well, those were the three for you, Frank. So you are off the hook. Ron, you want to pop over to the next slide?
All right. So getting into our modules, the first module, module 1, is about leadership. Some of the classes that we have in our module 1 leadership is communication and relationships. We talk about the importance of having open communication with your direct reports, your coworkers, your boss, the person that you're reporting to as a supervisor, and the importance of having a good working relationship that allows you to understand what is expected of you as a supervisor from each, your coworkers, your boss. What do they expect from you? Because everybody expects something from the supervisor. One of the other courses is the 8-7-6 method of onboarding new employees. One of the important things I think Ron touched on earlier is getting good employees and then retaining good employees. So we talk about what a good onboarding program looks like, what the new employee needs to know for the first 8 hours, the 7 days and the 6 weeks, and the importance of a good onboarding program and how it can get the new employee off to a good start and a positive experience with that company is a very big beginning. It's a positive way of getting a new employee into your company. So module 1, also, we have some classes from AIMS, which is HR. They do some training, and there's cook safety training. So AIMS is providing some diverse and inclusive culture. It teaches you a little bit about respecting each other and understanding each other. And then safety training from Darcy Cook. Well, everybody could always use a little bit more safety training on the shop floor, So there's 2 days in that module 1 that really gets into what the proper safety training, what the things that should be looked for on the floor by a supervisor. We can go to the next one, Ron. So then module 2, it's manufacturing principles. So we talk a lot about our, cost and capacity. There's a lot of supervisors that really don't understand the cost and don't understand that capacity demands. So we go over quite a bit of how each company comes up with costs, what their experiences are, and we have some good conversations on that. Everybody, as Frank was just saying, everybody gets to share a little bit, and you get to learn a little bit about each company, how they do things, and we start to develop a good way of being able to do things. And writing work instructions, which in this module, this is a huge one, because you're giving them a tool that they'll be able to use forever if they learn how to write a good work instruction. Not only are we teaching them how to write the work instruction, but how to use it, how to take it out to the floor and be able to train with that work instruction, being able to improve processes and improve people all in the same time. So also in module 2, we have more training from AIMS and Darcy Cook. So we have accident investigation with Darcy Cook, and we have developing your people with AIMS, which are really good skills to be able to work out. And module 3. So module 3 is problem solving. This is one of the, as a supervisor, you are constantly asked to problem solve. This is why you become a supervisor, because you have been a good problem solver. So we try to give them some of the tools that they need to be able to do some problem solving on their shop floor. And so one of them is, some of the lean basics. We go over basic 5S, point of view storage, using visual areas, visual workplace, visual factory. We talk about how to use the tools, when is the best time to use them, so that they can get the most benefit out of them. You don't just take the tool and throw it out there. You make sure you have the right place that you're going to use this tool. Also, balancing workflow. More and more, you're going to see work cells, and one person relies on the next person, and you need to balance that out. Do you see bottlenecks? We teach them how to find the bottlenecks. And then once they're able to identify the bottlenecks, then they're able to make some adjustments to the bottlenecks and not have it be a burden on them or not have it be a barrier that's preventing them from meeting their goals and meeting their customers' demands. And again, in module 3, we have some safety training, safety audit from Darcy Cook. That's a very good class to identify some of the safety issues that you can try to make improvements on your shop floor. In module 3, we're also starting to have the students prepare a project and preparing a presentation. At the end of module 3, there's a graduation, and each student is going to have a presentation that they're going to present to their managers, to their classmates, and also to their managers as part of their graduation and as part of the Frontline Supervisor apprenticeship. So next we have testimony from Mary Beth Campbell, who has joined us. She's going to share her experiences with the Frontline Supervisor program. Mary Beth?
Swiss Turn, I currently am the HR manager at Swiss Turn in Oxford, Mass. We feel very fortunate that we were able to send 7 of our employees through this program. We looked at current supervisors and managers as well as high potential employees. And what I really enjoyed about it is it provided such a diverse set of curriculum that really helped them understand the big picture of running a manufacturing business, as well as the small day-to-day. One of our employees just said to me recently that she never realized how much responsibility that a supervisor actually has on their plate. From her perspective, prior to this curriculum, it was, she could just see her small piece of the world. After going through this year-long program, she realized on a day-to-day basis how much is going on for that supervisor mentally, from just taking care of all the employees as well as all of the operations involved, the stress, is there an accident? How do I engage my employees? How do I work with them to ensure that they stay at the company? As we all know nowadays, it's really important to keep those good employees. And this program to me was actually one of my goals as in a metric to improve on keeping our employees here. We have a lot of open requisitions, and I feel that this program actually helped and assisted us in keeping high potential employees from leaving the business. So I have everything wonderful to say about this program. Although it was a year long and it took a lot of time, it took some employees off the production floor 4 hours a week, well worth it. If you speak to our current managers and vice presidents, they'll say, although sometimes they struggled having those people off the floor for 4 hours a week, when they see the end of the program and the growth of those individual employees, it was well worth it.
Mary Beth, we do have a couple questions if you're open to some answers. Yes, the first one you did answer, which was what made Swiss Turn decide to put people initially in the Frontline Supervisor training. We had a follow-up. Did you see a change in your employees during the year of training? Were they offering ideas, coming up with new solutions? Were they more self-assured? If so, could you share any examples that you may have?
Sure, I would say all of the above, especially in the level of confidence in them. And one thing I've shared with you in the past is one of our managers would be texting me during the program and asking me, oh, do we do this? Are we doing this? Oh, I think we need to rethink this. So I used to enjoy getting those texts while he was there with the program. And through that, he actually came up with a lot of great things. I mean, things that, you know, we do every day that we may not be recognizing that we should be improving upon. So I think that's the one thing that the class also helped, is that we improved some of our processes. We it brought in new ideas that we did not know about. I think when our employees were also interacting with other employees from other companies, I think Ron mentioned it, that camaraderie that they developed with other people, that they realized, hey, we're not the only ones. And they actually would reach out to other people in a confidential manner, looking for ideas and thoughts on how they could do something better. So that colleagueship that they found with other companies, I thought was fabulous for them. So it's not just us providing support to them, but also other colleagues from other companies that were in their same position, that they felt really understood what they were going through. So it really helped build their confidence once again.
Yeah, it's always good to not feel like the only one going through something, right?
Right.
Go through
Right.
with other companies. Just like what I said to Frank, you gain perspective, you realize you're not the only one. It kind of opens up your mind to potential solutions that may have been in front of you and you just didn't know. Perfect. And then last one was a final observation, thought, or an outcome that you feel is the absolute most important to share.
I have so many, but I have to pick one.
I won't limit you to one. If you've got a top 2 or 3, go for it.
Well, I think where else would we be able to have employees stay in their building, in the facility, and get such good education? And I can send them out to 8 hours of a program here, 8 hours of program there, but this built on everything. Every class was a building block from the last one, and it encompassed the major facets of running a manufacturing facility. And I just think, where else am I going to get that? And that to me is the beauty of this program, is it's right there at your front door, and all of the information is critical to build a leader of the future. So I guess that's what I would say.
Awesome.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much
Well
for
said.
your insight and perspective. Frank, thank you as well. Both of you guys, I think it's impactful to hear firsthand from people who went through the training, have seen the training, the impacts. I think it says the most. So thank you both. All right, back over to you, Joe.
Yes, very well said, Mary Beth. Very well said. And I guess the last thing we have is something else that we offer the students as we're going through the daily classwork. There's we have a cloud-based learning management system. We call it Moodle. And this is where each of the students can go in and they'll see their pre-class assignments. They're able to, read what the class is, find out if there's going to be a reading out of a book, or if there's going to be a video that's going to be, they have to watch to be able to do their assignment. They're also able to load their pre-class work onto Moodle so that it can be reviewed by the instructor. And they, also at the presentations are in there. We put them in there as a PDF where each of the students can go in and they can make copies of the presentation, maybe something for a reference for a project that they're working on, or maybe something that they're not working on right now, but they would like to work on, and they're able to go back and use it as a reference throughout the whole year. It's a real valuable tool for them to be able to use. It's a good way for communication, passing the homework back and forth also. But yeah, it's really worked out well for us, and I believe the students like it.
I would like to say, in reference to this learning management system, in the beginning, some of our students and myself as well were very nervous about this. Some of us had never seen anything like this before. And so a lot of my students were very scared and nervous. So although it's not in the curriculum, I think part of the curriculum is learning this system is actually improving their technical ability. And now they're so confident, even in computer systems, than they were prior to the class.
Yeah, that's true. Karen and I usually work with a lot of the students to make sure that they're comfortable with the system, so they get a little hands-on how to use the system. So yes, also they're able to use some of those. If someone's not very familiar with computers, by the time they're done with this course, they feel a lot more comfortable going on to Moodle and doing whatever they need to do, downloading and putting their homework in there. So yes, you're right.
I want to echo that notion, because that's like another part of this class that I think you get from it. So manufacturing, as we know, is like a very diverse community. I have a lot of employees that, English isn't necessarily their first language. They might not know how to, they're varying degrees of, computer knowledge and ages, and they might not really know how to use some of these systems, use things like Google Sheets, Excel, slideshows and whatnot. And with module 3, with that presentation, and Joe was helping out with the class a lot, getting people to you know, make their slides correctly, be able to like present and communicate things well. Like we had some people who, like, you know, granted their English isn't the best, so normally they're not like communicating problems, but then they were able to like build a confidence in this class to like actually like talk and stand up for themselves. And like being able to get that out of it, it wasn't even like manufacturing specific, but it was really like, you know, eye-opening to see. So that was a good point.
Absolutely. That's part of making everybody comfortable and making them feel like they're part of a group, part of the team. As you know, your group did, Frank. You know, everybody was rooting for each other, and anytime someone needed a hand, not only did myself and Karen reach out and try to help them, but you helped each other. So you really built a little community there. It was really nice to see.
All right, well, thank you, Joe, Frank, and Mary Beth. And you know, I'm always amazed the things I hear and as we go through this. And what's nice is we have just finished our first full group. And again, it was a year-long process, so we have others in process right now. So some of the things that struck me as I was listening was, you know, we often hear you don't know what you don't know, and I think some of the comments you made, Mary Beth and Frank, it resonates with me that you're learning things that you don't know you need to know as a lead person or a supervisor. So the other thing is, yes, this program is a commitment, and I think companies need to note that up front, but more importantly, the commitment, it's an investment. So you really truly investing in your people, and it is a time commitment, but what you're getting out of it is not just training that person. I look at it as a kind of train the trainer as well. So this person's going to become more knowledgeable. Then as you bring in other people, they'll be able to assist growing other people within your organization. The networking is as a consortium-based type training, which we offer both. We can do it for just a company, but the consortium brings value where you're interacting with other people in other companies and learning that the grass isn't always greener, that the challenges are the same in a different environment. So, and then you're creating your own network that you can reach out and maybe grow a relationship with some of these other individuals. Frank, I wish we could solve this stressed out challenge, but I can't say this class will eliminate stress, but I will tell you it will help. You know, it'll help that you'll have some idea, right, of how to maybe address some of these issues or handle them. You're not always going to come up with a solution, but you'll be better prepped to be able to deal with them. So those are some thoughts I got out of just listening to some of the commentary. Regarding the grant funding, so I talked to consortium-based training, which this first group went through. Again, you attend with participants from other companies. You get to know them, get to talk with them, interact with them. And the way this works is as we've said right from the beginning, we saw a need in the market, so we developed this program. So Mass MEP actually applies for the grant funding through the state. And we get approved for that funding. Then we offer the training at no cost to the participants, just their commitment to attend. And again, I'll stress, you know, it's a year-long commitment. We're trying to put groups of 10 to 12 people together, so they're not too big and they're not too small. So you got a well-rounded group. The cost of that, just so you'll know, is $4,800 per participant. But because we're asking for the funding, there's no cost to you. But it's good for you to know that. Under a general grant, so if a company is large enough and they said, listen, we love the program, but we have 10 to 12 people we just want to send, so we'd like you to just do our company. We can do that. And we can help you apply for the general grant, which is available. And it would be covered by the general grant. Again, the cost is your commitment, you know, your time to send the people. General grants, you can apply for up to $250,000 to give you a bigger picture. And that's a whole different discussion. But the point I want to make here is consortium-based training, and then we could do it just for a company as well under a general grant. But the other part, I didn't spend too much time, and Joe mentioned, this is part of an apprenticeship program, a recognized apprenticeship program in the state of Massachusetts. So in addition to attending at no cost, if you choose, which you don't have to, but you could sign up to be part of the apprenticeship program. So there's an agreement with the state, and we will assist you with that process. And on completion of this training, your company can recognize a tax credit of $4,800 per person at the end of this training. But again, there's paperwork that needs to be filled out and then completed, but we can assist with that process. So this is an important piece. Hopefully we're doing it for much greater reasons of upskilling your people, but I think this is an added benefit that you should be aware of. So again, if you're interested and want to learn more, we can go through the details of all that. For the value of participating, I think we've touched on a lot of them. So there'll be nothing new here. The goal is you'll have more engaged, competent employees with the tools and the training. And again, what's nice is it's a year-long program. So they learn, they practice, there's a feedback loop, there's a network they can interact with. And see if they're facing the same challenges and how they're handling it. So there's that. That's a big part of the training that we really would encourage you to take advantage of. No direct cost for the classes. We touched that through the Workforce Training Fund and the tax credit, which I had mentioned at the end, which is an added benefit. Next steps, if you are interested, the last slide will have my contact information as well as Lisa Oden, my colleague. You would have to get you set up. You would need to get a certificate of good standing. So in order to participate, the state wants to make sure the company is in good standing, paying taxes, and there's a certificate of good standing. We can send you a link at no cost. You can submit to the state and they'll send it over to you. And then there's a questionnaire. So as part of the process, the state wants to make sure companies are getting the value for the training. So there'll be some KPIs that we want to look at. What are you going to get out of this training? Is it going to be additional jobs? Is your workforce is going to be upskilled? So there'll be some questions we will assist and help you through. So certificate of good standing, you have to have an FEIN number and an application questionnaire that Lisa Oden and I can help you with. And with that, this is our contact information. So maybe Emma, you could explain the QR codes and all of that.
Yes, absolutely.
So I'll kick it back over to you.
So there are QR codes up on the screen. If you guys open up the photo app on your phone, hover the camera over it, there should be a pop-down link that will bring you to both Ron and Lisa's contact information. It should preset an email for you guys for this. So again, if you have questions, feedback, concerns, you're interested in a grant, whatever it may be, feel free to contact either Ron and Lisa. That does conclude our webinar for today. Again, thank you to everyone in attendance for taking the time to be here. Thank you to our panelists. Mary Beth and Frank, thanks for being open to some questions and sharing your own perspective. I really do believe it's incredibly impactful for people to hear firsthand, the opinion of people who have actually gone through it so they can hear the impacts. But again, if you have questions and concerns, Ron's contact information is up on the screen, and enjoy the rest of your days.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.